Hey everyone, welcome to NMTI's session today. Today we have Sanjana AIR 7 in the session, and we'll be talking about 3 months. Like we have only 3 months left till CLAT 2023, and so we'll be talking about how exactly we're supposed to approach it and how exactly are we supposed to start for like the people who haven't started. And so Sanjana here will be like guiding us and telling us more about what our approach should be in the last 3 months, what our mindset should be, how our mocks should be, and what kind of preparation should we be doing in the last 3 months of our preparation. So, before we start with the session, why don't you introduce yourself, Sanjana?
Okay, hi. I'm Sanjana Rao. I was AIR 7 in CLAT 2022, and I'm currently at NLS Bangalore.
Oh, and so when did you start your preparation?
I started my preparation in October, November of 2020 for 2022. But the thing is, like, for the first 1 year or so, it wasn't serious. It was just like I started getting serious after CLAT 2021 got over.
Hmm. Okay, so like, so you started prep in your 11th grade, but then you actually started like preparing seriously from like your 12th grade onwards.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, and so like you've scored AIR 7 and like you've got a rank, All India rank of AIR 7, right? In CLAT 2022, as well as I'm guessing Karnataka State 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that's within 1 year. That's impressive.
The thing
So,
is, like in 11th grade, you do like basics, like sectional tests and all that, and you build your basics. Like although you spend like not more than an hour a day or something, something helps like that cumulative effect, and you build some kind of base. So when you start your serious preparation, you're not starting from zero. So there's something there.
okay, so did that help you as such, or do you think if you started from like 12th grade itself from scratch, you would still be able to get to AI or 7?
I think the 11th grade thing did help, although not significantly. But it was
Hmm.
just a longer time, right? So you got to just practice more, and it was a 11th grade is less pressure also because there's a lot of time.
Hmm. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, that also brings me to this one last question. Um, One question which I want to start off with. How did you manage your 12th as well as with CLAT? I mean, since I'm guessing you started with in 11th, you built all your concepts in 11th, and then you started practicing in 12th. Was it something like that? And how did you manage it with
Yeah,
boards?
the thing
And
is for me, like I was in science PCMB, with in CBSE, and I was finding it very hard to manage both CLAT and boards at the same time, and I was finding myself prioritizing CLAT a lot, and to the point where I was worried that I might even fail boards. So in the middle of 12th grade, like right after my first pre boards, I switched to open schooling, and I was humanities. So um, yeah, so I did my boards humanities basically from NIOS. That's how I found it easy because you didn't have classes to attend or any school commitments to attend to.
so, oh, okay, but do you have friends or like do you know people who did CBSE 12th and managed to do both CLAT and CBSE
Yeah,
together?
yeah, a lot of people actually did that.
So it is possible for a fresher to like do his 12th and um, CLAT together, right?
It is absolutely.
Hmm. Okay, yeah. In my case, I didn't have to like I did both 12th and CLAT together. So yeah, it's definitely possible.
Yeah, you did
But yeah,
science as well, right?
yeah, I did science as well, which I guess is harder because it's science and like it
Yeah, it
requires more time
is.
and
I
effort.
wasn't able to do it.
So anyway, before we start with like the 3 month strategy, like just like a background of like how you study or how like what kind of preparation you had. Sanjana, why don't you tell us about your reading speed? Like how was your reading speed before, and what did you do to improve your reading speed as such?
Okay, for me, to be honest, that was my biggest advantage, the time management thing, because I have really good reading speed because I've been reading ever since I was a kid, like a lot of books about different things and all. So I had that's why I could manage time well, because I was a little slow at quants. It took me a lot of time, but I was able to make up that time in the reading sections. So that was an advantage for me, but it can definitely be built by reading editorials from newspapers every day, because those are texts that are similar to the passages that come in CLAT. So, timing yourself on those editorials and making it an everyday practice will definitely help your reading speed.
Um, Sanjana, do you think reading novels would help in like in improving your reading speed?
I think over a long term, yes, not over the last 3 months, definitely not. I think newspaper editorials should do the trick.
So you wouldn't suggest mentees to read novels or something during
No, no,
these last
definitely not.
100 days?
Definitely not.
Okay. Um, and so like reading speed was your strength, which is why like you didn't have much of a problem, and which is why you were able to um, get more time to solve maths or other sections, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, in my case, reading speed was slow. So I did struggle with that, but then yeah, reading speed is one of like a major part of CLAT, right? So
for sure.
hmm, so if you are slow in reading speed right now, I suppose it's what would you suggest if to someone who is slow in his reading speed right now, like 100 days before CLAT?
Okay, like I said, newspaper editorials are a great way. Like, just pick up the Hindu and you get like 6 editorials per day, and you time them and you see how long it takes you to read and completely comprehend the text, and you try and like improve your timing every day and get better at it. That's because those texts are very similar to the CLAT passages. Sometimes they've even picked off from there. So
Yeah.
those are helpful, and you get a lot of online resources also, like even sectional tests and all. Sectional tests are a great way to improve your timing.
Hmm. Oh, okay. So, and do you think that reading speed would improve in the last 100 days? Is it possible?
I think it can, for sure. More than reading speed, it's how you relate what you've read to the questions exactly, because you don't have to completely read and comprehend the entire text. It's relating it to the questions asked about the text, and then knowing where to go back and refer to it. So you'll have a general idea of the layout of the passage, and you'll be able to go back to it once you read the question. That's the strategy that worked for me.
So you used to read the passage first, then go to the questions, and like first you used to read the passage, get a general layout of it, go to the questions, and then go back to the passage
And
and
then refer to the passage, because like I know exactly where the line is that I need to refer to for a particular
yeah.
question, and then I go back to it.
Hmm. And so in your last, okay, why don't you tell us your frequency of mocks from like the beginning of your preparation towards the end, and especially in your last 100 days, like the last 3 months?
Okay, for like during 11th grade, I think I took a total of like 3 mocks. Like I didn't take mocks at all. But after CLAT 2021, I was taking one a week until like 6 months before. Then I upped it to two a week. And last 3 months, I did every alternate day.
Last 3 months, you did it every alternate day,
Every alternate day. That
and
mocks was my major source of preparation, honestly.
yeah, because mocks are like five sectional tests, right? If you
Yeah,
look at it in
exactly.
one way. Hmm. Okay. So, okay, and yeah, as you said, like in 11th grade, a whole year, you only did three mocks. So like pretty much 11th grade, you didn't do much, right?
Yeah.
Most of your preparation was in 12th grade. Do you think doing mocks every alternate day was a good strategy for you? Like, what was your focus in your last 30 days when it came to mocks?
So for me, after 11th grade, I didn't touch any sectional tests. So my preparation was solely just GK, and the preparation for the other sections was only through mocks. So that's why I used to do mocks every other day, because it helped. Like it's just 2 hours, right? 2 hours you sit, and then the next day you use it for analysis, and then the day after that it's a mock again. So it's not very hectic either. It's a reasonable schedule, and it worked for me because it balanced all the sections, like the weightage given to all.
Do you think it would be a good idea to do a mock every day in like probably the last 2 weeks of CLAT?
I don't think so. No.
Hmm.
I don't think
Okay.
it's, yeah, I don't think it's good to up it that much just before. Like as long as you maintain a healthy schedule, like that's relatively rigorous itself, like for the last 3 months, then it'll be good enough. Like it'll be CLAT will just be like another mock.
Yeah. So I'm guessing because you're doing it like if you were to do it every other day, like before CLAT, you wouldn't have much time to sit and analyze, and you would end up making the same mistakes in the next paper and in the next paper, and that's
Exactly.
why. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Then. With your like doing mocks every alternate day, basically you were doing like 3 4 mocks a week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm guessing most of your issues with sectional tests were like all rounded, as in like you had to practice all 5 sections every once in a while, which is why you kept doing mocks.
Yeah.
But so, did you ever have like a specific issue with like let's say legal, like only legal, like like legal, or like let's say QT, like QT is like my dreaded subject. I can't go near QT. If that were the case with you, would you spend extra time in like maybe solving sectional tests apart from these mocks?
I don't think you can judge how you do in each section based on only one mock. Because for me, it used to fluctuate with every mock. Like some of them I do badly in legal, some of them I do badly in logic. It was like that. My quants was relatively good, although I spent more time on it. That improved. Like my quants practice came with mocks only. Like I could do it like in a time on a timed basis. And I think your order of attempt is also really important if you're weak at sections. If you manage to save time in other sections, then you can allot it more to your weak section. So for that, yeah, sectional tests will help like solely for your weak section, but it mostly helps when you do it all together because you have a sort of exhaustion when you're working in like for 2 hours continuous, right? So you have to practice all sections together, otherwise it really doesn't help that much, especially in the last 3 months. I don't think sectional tests are that helpful.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, I guess there's a difference between solving, let's say, a CR passage standalone and solving a CR passage during the mock while getting tired after solving the other
Exactly.
passages, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, Sanjana, mm, once you started like upping your frequency in mocks, or like once you like really started like doing mocks, especially from your like the beginning of 12th, right? Did you? Okay, why don't you like tell us how your mock scores went? Like, did it keep increasing as you started doing more mocks? Or
Okay, so my mock score started in like the 60s, 70s. Okay, then after that it rose and it was like stagnant around the 80s and 90s for a very long time. Okay, then around when I started taking 2 mocks a week, it like climbed up to 100, and it was in the early hundreds like then. Then after that, like in the few weeks before CLAT, it actually went down. It was like from 110s, it had gone back down to hundreds and all. So I was a bit worried for CLAT actually because I wasn't in the best stage before CLAT. So there are always ups and downs, but it's just how you do on that day, I guess.
hmm. Okay, so um, when, you had it down in your scores right before CLAT. How did
Yeah,
that
like
make you feel?
it was pretty demotivating actually. It was a bit hard because it was just a few months before, like 1 or 2 months before CLAT, and my were a lot lower than it was like 4 months before CLAT. So it was worrying, but then I just had to change things up a bit. Like I talked to a few new people who were also taking CLAT, and like those different perspectives and all, it again made my scores jump. So I guess that worked for me.
Hmm. And talking about your stagnancy in scores, like you said, it was stagnant between 80 and 90 for a long time. Like, how long is this time around?
2 months.
Oh, 2 months. Okay, yeah, that's like a solid long amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when it was stagnant around 80, 90, like, I mean, obviously, in those 2 months, you were still like trying to improve your score, but it was still stagnant. Like, what exactly was going in your mind? Why don't you like elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, basically, I was analyzing each mock like rigorously and trying to find patterns between like successive mocks, like what went wrong. And sometimes you weren't able to find a pattern, and that was very frustrating. But you just had to keep working on like whatever little things you find, you can just keep working on it. and it just gets better. That's all it does. It's just with time, you can't do anything about it. Like retrospectively looking back, it does get better for everyone, every phase of stagnancy.
So it's kind of like how much of a work you're putting, even if your mock scores isn't improving, probably like later on when you're looking back in hindsight, you would know it that it's still improving and you just haven't noticed it yet, or
Yeah,
something of that sort.
exactly.
Ah,
Yeah, I
okay.
know a friend whose scores were stagnant in the 90s for like 6 months easily, and then it suddenly leaped to like 120s. Like suddenly, it just happened. But it happens. It just takes time. So
So oh, okay, 90 to 120 is a huge leap,
yeah,
um, and out of nowhere. Yeah, but okay, for six, like having scored 90s for like 6 months would be like, um, it would be pretty demotivating, would it?
yeah.
So, what would you suggest to like students who are still facing stagnant scores for like quite a while, especially right before CLAT? They would be feeling extremely demotivated. What if their scores don't increase? What if it starts dipping down at this point? So, is there anything like you would want to tell them?
Yeah, just count on the fact that like CLAT is very unpredictable. It'll like your scores before that aren't as relevant because it could really surprise you on that day. So don't put so much reliance on mocks. Although it's a very important indicator of how you are in your preparation, it's not like that's the only indication. So you like just keep working at it and like realize what your weaknesses are, and you keep working on it, and your scores will improve. It just will. Like it might take time, but it will. There is enough time. There's 3 months left.
Yeah, and talking about unpredictability in CLAT, like, did that ever make you anxious as such?
It did, yeah, it did, for sure. There's
Hmm.
nothing you can
I
do about it though, because it's equally unpredictable for everyone. So you just have to trust that your preparation is enough.
Yeah, that's also true. Especially, I used to be really anxious about my the last day, what would happen. Um, the last few mocks I did went pretty well for me, but on the CLAT day, especially, I don't think I've ever had a rank of 19 ever in mocks. Like I think my highest in mocks, especially if I check like right after the test, was 43. So 19 was like a surprise. So yeah, I do get what you're trying to say that like your mock scores would be stagnant for a while and then suddenly it would leap, and that's how it is in the preparation and stuff. Yeah. Mm, okay, then Sanjana, there's a pretty important question that a lot of students have been asking. What were your GK sources? What was your strategy for GK, and how did you approach GK, especially in your last 3 months?
Okay, so I'll divide this into two parts, like one for people who've been preparing GK all along and one for people who are starting now. So if you've
Yeah.
been preparing for GK all along, like and you have like consolidated notes for each month and for each topic that's important and all, I think it's important that you get yourself in touch with other students who are preparing for CLAT and start quizzing each other on those topics because they'll also have similar notes and there might be a few points in those notes that you have missed, and it also helps with retention. You remember it if you quiz each other on it. So try and reach out to people and like organize regular quizzing and stuff. That also helps with revision of past topics because you study for the quizzes beforehand, so you be prepared for it. So I think that's what you should do if you've been preparing all along. For people who haven't been preparing all along, there are like it's not possible to go through the daily GK sources now at this point. So you can refer to the monthly compendiums that many coaching institutes release. Like the monthons of CL are very good. Then Legal Edge has their compendiums that they release monthly. So and those are they have really important topics. So highlighting important parts of that and making notes of those important topics will really help, and also getting in touch with other people is a great idea.
Hmm. Getting what was the last thing you said? Getting in touch.
Getting in touch with other people who are also preparing, so you can like exchange notes
Exchange.
and yeah,
Oh, okay.
get
So,
different perspectives.
yeah. So in your like last 3 months, it's really hard to cover a whole month's GK in over 3 months. So, like something of like sharing the notes or like splitting the work
Yeah,
with
exactly.
a with someone you trust, like a study buddy, something of
Because
that
it's
sort, right?
definitely possible to cover all the GK in 3 months if you have a group of people who are doing it.
Did you have like a group of people like who you used to like study together and like share notes or something of that sort?
Yeah, yeah, I did. That's what really helped me with my GK. We used to
Yeah,
quiz
so
each other also on it. So
hmm. Yeah, yeah. Even in NLTI, like NLTI's basic foundation is the creation of study buddy groups and emphasizing on study buddy groups. So when you enroll in NLTI, put you, we like um, introduce you to your study buddies and create a sort of like study buddy culture. And yeah, that's essentially how the thing at NLTI work. We don't just simply mentor each kid as such. We also add on by giving them a sort of study buddy group and then that sort of environment.
that's
And
a great strategy. Like it really helps for CLAT, studying
hmm,
with people.
and Sanjana, I'm guessing even the people around you, all your study buddies, did they also like make it to NLS?
Yeah, all of the people I studied with made it to NLS, and one of them made it to Nalsar.
Oh wow. Um, Yeah, and I'm guessing that would have really helped with like splitting the GK and I guess quizzing each other because you're also
Yeah,
doing the GK, they're also doing the same GK.
exactly.
Hmm. Also, yeah, NLTI also has GK notes from like Jan to June, made by Rishabh Shivani, Pranshu, and Kanesh. So if you guys want that, just go on to the Telegram channel. Um, yeah. Anyway, then. Um, Sanjana, so another important question related to GK was if like I don't, like now it's 3 months left, right? And let's say if you were starting now, there's a whole load of GK backlog left. How would you exactly start? So you're just starting right now, your class preparation, and you have to start with GK. You have 100 days left. How exactly would you start, or like what would be your procedure?
Okay, I think reading newspapers every day is important because you build like a base generally about things, like just general topics, and that will help with educated guessing as well in GK. And other than that, go through career launchers monthons, their monthly compendiums, because monthons usually have good important topics. So you can just make a list of those important topics and do independent research on them. Then there's even Legal Edge has their monthly compendium, and that comes with additional CLAT like questions. Like there's passages followed by 5 questions, so you can and that those passages and the 5 questions they give you a lot of information about the topic. So you can use these two compendiums like as your primary sources. Then there are compendiums like Drishti IAS also that release monthly compendiums. Although those are mostly IAS oriented, they still are helpful towards CLAT. You just have to like filter out the information that seems irrelevant. So using these monthly compendiums, you can make your own compendium of important information. That'll be like the quickest and best way to do it. Like I'd suggest in the next 20-25 days or so, sitting and just making this compendium of notes from different months, and then using the rest of the time for revision.
Hmm. And I guess splitting the work here would really help a
Yeah,
lot in
yeah, it
saving
would
time.
really help.
Hmm. Yeah, and you talked about calculative guesses, right? Like while reading the newspaper, it
Yeah.
helps in. Okay, how exactly did that play out in CLAT 2022 for you? Did you make any
See,
calculative guesses?
yeah, for CLAT 2022, the GK was very unpredictable for all of us, and a lot of the stuff that came in it we weren't prepared for at all. But we would have all like gone through it somewhere by like reading something that we deemed irrelevant, or going through a newspaper and seeing some article about it. So it's all stored somewhere like in the back of your head, although it's not information that you actively tried to remember. So if you are able to eliminate one or two options through educated guessing, then you can like pick between one of the options, and it's very likely that you'll get it right. So it's worth the risk of the negative. So that's what I did. I did that a lot for GK. At least like 5 to 6 questions I took educated guesses for, and
Okay, and
it
like
did pay off in the end.
yeah, because every four questions you mark wrong, you can just offset it by getting one question right.
Exactly.
Hmm. And yeah, because you're also calculating it, you can naturally eliminate two. Um,
You can. And it's worth
yeah,
the risk taking of picking between two because it's likely you get it right. 50% shot is a pretty good deal.
yeah. Huh. Okay. So then, okay, fine. So then now we'll. Before that, before I come to the next question, I just wanted to know, when you talked about your mark stagnancy, like were you stagnant? Like, at what period in time were your marks stagnant? Like, when did you start scoring above 100? Where were you scoring 80 to 90?
Okay, so I think my marks were stagnant around the time like August, September ish before, and then it again increased, and then again it was stagnant around December, January. So those are my two big phases of stagnancy that I had. And then after that, it was a slow rise from December, January, because that was a very bad slump for me. I was very demotivated during that time.
Hmm. So it's kind of like this, it increased for a while, then stagnated, increased and stagnated, and then
Yeah.
slowly increased. Oh, okay, something of that sort. So, whenever your marks do stagnate, or especially like in the last 3 months when they do stagnate, uh, you can always hope that your marks, or like you can always kind of like rest assured because your marks will increase, especially right before CLAT or maybe on the day of CLAT.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I can say that it shouldn't affect you and all, but the truth is it will. But bad marks did affect me too. But retrospectively looking back, it really makes no difference. So, like, you should try and not let one mark really hit you hard.
Oh, okay. So that brings me about mindset as such. Like, again, you just mentioned how like one bad mock could like ruin your whole mood and your whole preparation, right? So, if you could tell it something to like your younger self, or like the past, what would you tell yourself? Like, what advice would you give yourself and as well as other mentees who are facing bad mock scores right now or a dip in their mock scores, even though they work so hard?
Okay, because you'll be writing over like tens and tens of marks. Like I wrote about 100 marks. So like you won't even remember this mark. Like even like a month from then you won't remember the mark. So it's really not worth ruining your day over, and it's just a learning experience. At the end of the day, it's 150 questions you learn from. That's it. So especially the GK and all, like it's 35 questions that you know more now. So it's very helpful. Just think of it that way. It's just a learning thing. It's just a mark after that.
Yeah, I had a similar approach too, especially whenever I had bad marks. Um, as legal edge, um, I used to so when it's a good mock, I used to be happy, and when it's a bad mock, my mock analysis document used to be very happy. So either way, someone was happy in my room. So yeah, did you ever like were you only writing CL mocks or
No, I wrote CL, I wrote Legal Edge, although like I had different standards for both of those. Um,
yeah?
yeah, then I wrote a few CLAT possible marks, but like that was not many. So it was mainly Career Launcher and Legal Edge.
And towards the end, like the last few mocks before your before CLAT, like you were writing career launcher,
Yeah, Career Launcher completely. In my
but then your
opinion,
mock.
Career Launcher has the best marks.
Oh, okay, yeah. But right before CLAT, your mock scores dipped. And did you talk to your friends about that? Did they tell you that their scores increased, perhaps? Or like, how did that affect you?
My friends were honestly very supportive because bad marks was something that's affected everyone at some point or the other. So everyone was like they've been through it before. So through personal experience, everyone was saying that it will get better. It's just one mark. It's just a few marks. Don't worry about it. And so that also helped the supportive environment that I was in.
Yeah. Hmm. And also in general, like a general question, how exactly did you calm yourself during bad times, like during your CLAT preparation? Because after your CLAT preparation, it's like a whole journey, right? From like the starting when you didn't know anything about it till like finally where you're hoping that you will get into endless, right? Like there's a whole journey. And especially in between, you have like drop in mock scores or like stagnancy. How exactly do you deal with bad times? Do you just move on? I mean, the goal is to move on, but like how exactly did you do that?
So like I didn't make CLAT my entire life. Like for 2 years, I didn't honestly sacrifice that much for CLAT. I used to play badminton for I used to be gone for like 3-4 hours every day playing badminton. That was a major stress relief thing for me because that was those 3-4 hours that my mind was not on CLAT at all. So that really helped for me. And I used to also hang around a lot with different people and go to different social events and all, and just get my mind off CLAT. Basically, it wasn't the only thing that I used to do, so it also like gave me distraction. So when I came back and sat and did CLAT work, my mind was on CLAT work. So although I didn't spend as many hours a day for CLAT, those hours were pretty productive.
Hmm. Okay, and also a lot of students, especially who've been studying since 11th grade and who've actually been seriously studying since 11th grade, I'm guessing perhaps feeling like a burnout after doing like 100 mocks till now of the same thing repeatedly again and again. And probably they've been seeing very variable mock scores. And so, what would is there anything you would tell them or advise them, especially with regards to their burnout?
Okay, just take a few days off. It's really not a big deal. Those few days won't affect anything. If you need time off, if you feel a burnout coming, you need to take time off. Take time off, like even a few days, and then you will naturally start feeling like, okay, I need to get back now. If I feel like I need to work, and then you get back and you come with a different focus. So like, don't guilt yourself for taking breaks because everyone takes breaks. Like I've spent literally weeks where I didn't touch CLAT at all. It's okay. It's you need it for because it's a long process and we are almost there. So you can't screw up these last 3 months. If you need a break, you need to take it. That's all.
Yeah, because after all, like flat is like I would say like mindset plays a equally important factor as well as skill, right? So
100%.
yeah, and especially since all the students who've been studying since 11th and coming to the end of their preparations, their skills are pretty much guaranteed. But now it's more about the mindset during which they write the
Yeah.
exam, right? So um, so basically, you're telling them to like officially take a break and during those 2 3 days, like not think about flat at all,
Yeah,
something of
just
that.
do what you want to do. Watch a few movies, read some books, go out with your friends, do whatever you want to do. Just get your mind off CLAT so when you come back, you'll come with a better focus.
Yes, no. Oh, okay. Um, a similar situation, even I used to take breaks from time to time, especially more like 1 day a week. I would just blank out, just nothing. I wouldn't touch anything. I would just spend time either like with my friends or watching movies or something of that sort. So yeah, sometimes a lot of mentees ask me like, especially it's 100 days to CLAT, and like the anxiety builds every single day, right? So I think it's very important for mentees to know, like CLAT aspirants to know that it's okay to take days off, even though if there's only 100 days left or 50 days left,
Yeah.
because in the end, it's all about your mental space rather than um, how much skills you're going to earn in that one day where you're not taking a break, right?
Exactly. Because CLAT is not a thing like with a syllabus such that you have to cover this much every day. It's a long term thing, so it's building your skills over time. So a few days doesn't make any difference if you take it off.
Yeah, exactly. And that 1 day of break, or like the 2 3 days of break, where you've officially taken a break and you've told yourself, okay, fine, today I'm going to take a break, tomorrow also I'm going to take a break, and I'm not going to think about that at all. Like the mental relief you get from that is way more significant than the
Yeah,
little bit skill you might gain from those 2 days.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Is there, especially because it's the last 3 months, I'm sure a lot of students would be facing a lot of anxiety and a lot of pressure. And I think this also happened with me since, unlike JE or like NEET, um, where if you know the concept, you know the concept. If you like, you can predict your score to a certain degree. In CLAT, it's more unpredictable, right? You could have good days, you could have bad days, and you're just hoping that your B day would be a good day, right?
Yes,
So,
exactly.
how exactly is there anything you did to deal with that anxiety, or
It's just a mindset thing. You just have to like be cocky about it. You have to be confident and like pretend like you know it all. Like nothing can go wrong. You just have to convince yourself of that. That's all. It's like
talking about? Yeah, continue.
yeah, it's not, it's like anything could go wrong on that day, but things could also go right. So you just have to tell yourself your preparation is enough, and nothing can stop you that day. That's all.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, after all, CLAT is a completely mindset game. If first bad, let's say a bad GK section ruins your mood, it would end up ruining all the other sections, right? And you don't want that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why mocks is a great practice for you because like in mocks also there's like maybe one section that goes wrong and you learn to work with that. That's why I did a lot of mocks because any mock could be like the real paper, so you just have to go with the mindset that this is flat, this is how the paper is going to be, and then you write the mock with that mindset.
Oh, okay. That brings me to the next question. When did you start writing mocks offline, or like, did you ever write mocks offline? Were you always writing
Immediately
mocks
like
online?
after CLAT 2021 I never wrote mocks online after that.
Oh, okay. But like the first three you did online
Yeah,
in your
11th grade I
11th
wrote
grade.
online. Yeah.
But then after that, ever since, it's always been offline.
Yeah, I have a huge mock pile, like it's still there. I haven't thrown it away.
And so, you, like, what was your day? What did your day look like when you were doing your mock? Especially last 3 months. What did your like daily day look like? Your
I
timetable.
I honestly can't say it was very structured for me. It was basically I used to just rotate between doing mocks and preparing for GK. That's all I used to do. So I'd give myself some time. Like in the morning, I used to have a G meet with some of the other people I was preparing with, and we used to quiz each other on some GK. And then after that, just relax for a bit in the morning, then do some more GK. Then in the afternoon, I'll take a bit of a break just before I took a mock. Like I'll take the mock from 2 to 4, like when CLAT was for us. So I took it from 2 to 4. Then after taking the mock, I used to relax for a long time. Like I only started work again in the evening, and then I would do GK again. And then I would usually prepare for the quizzes I had with my other friends who were studying for CLAT, or like set like targets for GK to cover that day. That's how it used to look for me.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question. How much time exactly did you spend on revising GK? Okay, wait, before that, especially in your last 3 months, did you, like the last 100 days, did you spend time in finding more new GK topics, or did you spend more time in revising old GK topics?
Okay, so for us, CLAT was on June 19th, right? So we did GK until May 20th. So we didn't do GK for 1 month before that.
You didn't do GK as in like you stopped making the notes,
We
or
stopped making new GK notes, like
new notes?
daily GK notes.
Is there any specific reason as to like why you stopped?
We just trusted that we'd continue reading our sources. We just didn't make notes on it because we trusted that we'd remember it. That's all. Like 1 month preceding it. Because
So,
since it was recent, so we hoped we would remember it and we used that time to prepare the previous months, the old months.
so the priority was revising old.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
was.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm guessing the quizzing, like you and your study buddies quizzing each other, helped a lot in revising.
Massively, yeah. That helps with retention a lot.
Hmm. Okay, so like a huge part of your GK came from this quizzing
Yeah,
thing, right, with your study
yeah.
buddies. Oh, nice. Um, okay, so Sanjana, this is a question that a lot of mentees have also been asking. Um, let's say you were starting your preparation right now, what would be your approach for like all the five subjects?
I think at this stage,
Before,
you'd
before,
have, yeah.
like one for existing like students who have been continuing like solving till now, like doing CLAT till now, and students who've just started CLAT prep.
Okay, so for the people who've been preparing all along, I think this is a stage where you up your marks and you try and take 3 a week, 3 marks a week. So I'd suggest career launch and legal edge for sure. Although you shouldn't like beat yourself up too much if you don't do that well in legal edge, because yeah, you just don't have to. Then it would be your priority would be doing GK at this point and getting your practice in all the other sections through mocks. So because there's no point doing individual sectional tests at this point because you have to practice doing it in the mindset of a mock within those 2 hours after like section after section with that working with that mental exhaustion. So you have to take 3 marks a week for sure. And GK, you need to do it up to like November, I guess, end of November. So can't focus on making new GK notes and revising your old GK notes, and make a timetable and try and stick to it for revision of GK. And for people who are just starting, as I said, you need to focus on making like a consolidated list of topics from like the past few months that you need to study, and try and get that done with as soon as possible so you can start revising, because making notes is just the beginning. You need to revise them as well. So you'll have to put in a lot more hours if you're starting right now. And try and spend like one part of your day doing sectional tests, trying to build your base for all the sections, and simultaneously in the evening, one other part of your day taking mocks, because you need to know how to do it within that fixed time schedule, section after section as well. So it would take a lot more time, but I think it's necessary if you're starting preparation at this time.
And what about the other sections as such? So you're basically suggesting that aspirants should basically make like a list of all the topics that they need to cover, and like first start with the concepts basically, and then move on to um, upping their mocks. Is
Yeah,
that
I
is
think, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But at this point, you need to do it simultaneously, because you don't have time to first work on your concepts, then do it in mocks, because you can build your concepts through mocks right now.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of mentees also have been asking me like whether they should first um, finish the concept of, let's say, CR and then start attempting mocks. And then some mentees would tell me that they're not very strong in assumptions, so they wouldn't start mocks until they're strong in
Yeah, that's
assumptions.
a bad idea. You should keep doing mocks.
So even if you're starting now, it's better to like obviously have a
Start
list
off
of
with
things.
mocks.
Yeah, and start off with mocks, right?
Yeah, at the same. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Um, and okay, QT has been like a demon to most CLAT aspirants, because a lot of CLAT aspirants don't really come from maths backgrounds. Did you come from a maths background?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, so for you, QT must not have been a big deal, right?
QT wasn't difficult for me per se, although I should spend more time on it. That was an issue for me. But I managed to make up for it with my reduced time in other sections. So it wasn't a huge problem for me. But it's not something you can learn through mocks. That's one section you can't learn through mocks. So that's something you need to build the concepts like from the beginning. So you need to start by like learning the concept, practicing it in different points, and then working on it in mocks so you can do it under time pressure.
Mm. So essentially, with QT, you need to get your concepts right first, because
Right.
has a lot of concept behind it, right?
It's not that difficult, because there are very few concepts now with the changed pattern that you have to do. So if you're clear with ratio, proportion, percentages, and just like reading basic graphs and like seeing like and analyzing basic data, you should be good, and that won't take much time to master. Really, it's not like the old pattern where it was really a demon where you didn't know what could come. Because this
Yeah.
one's it's pretty straightforward. You can do it in 3 months, like lesser also.
Okay, Sanjana, so 3 months left. Okay, they would be starting their mocks from the very beginning itself, but approximately what time would you give like as a hard deadline to like finish their concepts in English, CR, LR, and QT?
End of October, I guess.
End of October. So then they will
While you're
have like,
doing it simultaneously, while you're working on mocks simultaneously, you can't wait until you're done with concepts and then do mocks.
what would their frequency look like while doing their concepts?
Sorry, frequency of?
What should their frequency of mocks look like while they're doing these concepts simultaneously? Like the first.
Try doing 2 to 3 mocks a week. It's
Mhm.
possible, because like even working with mocks every alternate day, you get like every alternate day completely free to work on your concepts. So it works. It's possible. So more mocks, the better. Like whichever stage of preparation you are in at this point.
And especially for like students who are like freshers and like um, who are right who are doing 12th grade right now. um, CLAT exam is on December, while your boards are on like their boards are on um, next May, March maybe. So, would you tell them to prioritize CLAT right now and
100%. There's a
100%?
lot of time left after CLAT between boards for them to change their priorities again. So at this point,
Yeah.
it's like critical that you prioritize CLAT.
So, like, prioritize CLAT. Some days bunk school and like spend that
Yeah,
time in
fully, 100%.
CLAT. Oh, okay. And finally, a last question: is 3 months enough? Do you think it's possible?
It's 3 months is it's difficult to do it, and obviously it's better if you've been preparing for a long time, but it's definitely doable because it's a skill based exam, right? So you can't really prepare portion wise. So if you spend a lot of hours and you build your skills, then it's definitely possible. It also depends on your strengths and your weaknesses. Like the faster and the better you are at analyzing those and working with those, then you'll be able to do it for sure.
So, so essentially, in like the last 3 months, it all depends on how much effort you put in, whether the way you analyze your mocks is of a quality level or not, right?
Yeah, it's also the effort you put in and how smartly you work. Like, there's no point doing something that won't really build your skills over the long run. Like, if you start doing daily GK notes now, it's useless because that's not going to help you. You have to work smartly. And like doing a lot of sectionals at this point also won't help you. So, you just have to work smartly and you'll be able to do it.
So you'd recommend like um, instead of like doing daily GK, instead doing backlog of the GK right now, something of
Yeah,
that sort. Like
through monthly compendiums. At this point, monthly is the way to go.
yeah, like a good way of increasing efficiency, right?
Yeah,
Basically.
exactly.
Hmm. And so yeah, what exactly when you realize that, oh, 100 days left, like what were you thinking? Um,
Like,
like shoot,
at
100 days left.
at that point I wanted CLAT to be over because it was a very long it's a long process, right? And I was very close to getting burnt out. So I was like actually counting down how many days I left for CLAT because like I really just wanted it to be done with because I couldn't study GK for one more day. So for me it was like the anxiety was reduced by the fact that I needed it to be done. So I was
Uh,
actually looking forward to CLAT.
oh, you were looking forward to class like
Yeah.
100 days. Oh,
Yeah.
nice. So that's like an optimistic outlook, I
I
guess.
guess.
But I do understand that feeling of just wanting it to get over so that you can like move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, in the end, CLAT is a very unpredictable exam, right?
Yeah.
So might as well get it over with. Um, yeah. Also, on the day of the exam, were you really feeling anxious or
The
how?
thing is, on the day of the exam I thought I wasn't anxious, but I like when the paper came and all, like it felt kind of surreal that this is the moment you've been preparing for 2 years, and like it's right here. So like when I got the paper, I think I was a bit nervous because I made a few OMR mistakes and all. So like whatever how many ever mocks you how many ever mocks you take, you can't prepare for such things. So you just have to just trust yourself and just hope it'll go well. Honestly, the exam is very unpredictable. You can't even like mimic exactly the mindset you'll be in on that day during your mocks.
Oh my God, you actually made OMR mistakes,
I
and
made an OMA mistake in my roll number also.
oh shit. And like that didn't affect you because I mean, in the end, you AIR 7 Karnataka State one.
Yeah, luckily it all worked out. But then in the beginning of the mock itself, I was in a bad state. Like the first section I attempt was legal, so I made two mistakes. Then I marked like two of the bubbles in the same question for two questions, and like things were not going well for legal. So like I just took a break. I took like a minute off, drank some water, and then after that things started going better. After the OMR mistake in my roll number, then the two mistakes in legal, I was not in a great state mentally.
Yeah, I mean, but then I guess in the end, it all paid off.
Yeah,
I mean,
luckily.
um, yeah. So that's actually crazy. You, you made like a OMR bubbling mistake, and you were
Yeah.
still able to recover from that. Because I mean, especially if I were you, or if most students were you, I think they would just like pass out at that moment. But
I was
two,
close.
and yeah, the I noticed that you said as soon as you realized you made a mistake, you took a minute off and you drank some water, tried to calm yourself down, and then you
Yeah.
continued, right? Um, like normally, a natural response would be to like, oh shit, I bubbled it wrong. I can't waste more time because I've wasted time till now. I need to move even faster, something of that sort. Um, did you have thoughts like that? How did
I
you like?
did. I did consider it. I was like, oh shit, okay, I need to go fast now. I have to make up for these lost marks and all. But it wasn't helping because I could see that my concentration was slipping. Things weren't going well. So I knew I'd make more mistakes like that. So I was like, okay, this 1 minute like of time sacrifice, it'll be worth it in the long run. So I made that split second decision and it turned out to be worth it.
Hmm. So, I mean, I guess in the end, like taking the 1 minute to relax was totally worth it.
Yeah, it was what saved me, I guess, in that case.
And especially, I think at this point, for people who are starting off right now and people who've been studying for a long time, I, I mean, I've also been seeing a lot of questions that um, a lot of them face anxiety because it's 100 days, CLAT is right off the corner. And you mentioned that like you used to basically act cocky or keep a face to keep yourself calm and cool, right? Uh, like, why don't you elaborate a little bit on that? Like, when did you start like calming yourself down? When did the anxiety kick in?
I used to just always like trust in my preparation. I was just like, my mock scores are good. I used to tell myself that whatever happened, like it would be okay because I prepared for it. There's no like you can't have someone who's prepared much more than me because I did really prepare for it. So I used to just put that kind of confidence into myself, and like I used to interact with like people who were always very supportive of me, like my family and my study buddies and all, and that gave me a lot of confidence. It's just basically the people you hang around with that's very important.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember when I was doing my CLAT prep, like especially towards the end, I used to get slightly anxious because after all, like CLAT's a very unpredictable exam, right? You might be doing extremely well, and then the last day things might just go bad. You might have bubbling errors. You might mark your roll number wrong. Like
Yeah,
anything could happen, right?
yeah,
Um, yeah, so I also used to keep up like a cocky front and like tell myself that I've studied enough and you know I'll be able to make it hook or crook, something of that sort.
yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, in the end, like hook or crook, like even though it might seem like a very arrogant thing to do, it, did it help a lot? Like,
It did. You need that kind of arrogance to like do well. You need to. It's kind of like even fooling yourself, like you getting yourself into that mindset, that confidence. You write the paper from a point of confidence, then so things work out then.
yeah, because especially if you didn't have that sort of like mental brainwashing from a long time, if you didn't come to the paper with that arrogance or that confidence, especially when you like started bubbling it wrong or something of that sort, you'd completely break apart, right?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, especially if you didn't like trust yourself or like trust your preparation of like 2 years,
Yeah.
right? Hmm. And also talking about so how was your GK actually like in the CLAT paper?
My GK, it actually freaked me out once I saw the section because it's not like something that everyone had prepared for. It's not something I had prepared for. These were not topics that anyone expected to come. So I think that threw me off a little. I was disappointed in myself after submitting the paper because I thought it just went badly for me. But like relatively, I still performed well in GK. I think I got 23.75 in CLAT.
Oh
So
shit, yeah.
yeah, so I like after comparing that with mock scores, my GK scores and mocks, I was disappointed. But like realizing that CLAT is like this is the same paper for everyone. You just have to trust in your preparation and like whatever marks you get, you just believe that others would have done worse. You just have to believe that. Like while you're writing it, you need to tell yourself that. That's all.
Okay, while you're writing it, you need to believe in yourself and
Yeah,
believe that everyone's also writing the same paper. You've worked a little bit more than everyone else, so you'll be able to score more.
yeah,
So, I mean, especially in the end, especially the last 100 days, if you're ever feeling anxious, something about believing in yourself and trusting yourself, right? Brainwashing yourself in some way or the other.
yeah. Exactly. It's like that only.
Um, yeah, I think that's it. Um, with the session. But as you're told, so again, you scored 23 point, how much again?
7.5.
23.75. I mean, especially for like this, like this sort of unpredictable GK, it's a pretty good score, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So and as you were saying, also like most of your um, prep was attributed to like your study buddy group and like quizzing each other on GK so that you can retain information. So in the end, and also because CLAT's a very mindset exam, like did your study buddy partners like help you with like keeping calm and keeping cool?
Yeah, because we were not just study buddies, right? Like that develops into friendship as well. So when you quiz each other, and after the quizzing, the conversation is not solely about GK or CLAT. So it diverts a bit, and you that's also kind of a stress buster kind of thing. You get to know each other more. You have different conversations, and like so they know you as a person as well. So that kind of that bond definitely helps because like your people who are starting with you know more better than anyone the effects of bad marks or bad scores, and they know that feeling, and they can really help you get past that and get through that. So I think that's also a great aspect of having study buddies.
Yeah. And um, yeah, just a minute.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I guess that's it. Um, Thank you for attending the session, and
Thank you for
thank you
having
for
me.
giving your insights, especially to mentees who really need it, especially because it's like the last 3 months, right? So yeah, thank you, Sanjana.
Thank you, Kevin.
Sanjana, you can leave. Like, just close. Yeah. And yeah, so before I end the session, also, I just wanted to tell you guys about NLTI. Um, I mean, as Sanjana told, like a majority of her preparation did come from her study group, right, and her study buddy. And in fact, like I'm in MLS right now, and I know all her study buddy mates. So yeah, I'm like the first eye evidence. I can verify that everything what she said was true because all her study buddy mates are my batchmates right now. And yeah, even I also did have a study buddy. Even AIR1, Rishabh Shivani, he also made his, like the way Sanjana was talking about making GK notes, especially in your last 100 days. Last 3 months, you want to split up your GK and then probably quiz each other on that GK, right? Um, Especially, yeah, that's also something which Shivani also did, and something I did, something Sanjana did. And so, yeah, especially for most students in NLS right here, right now, whenever I go and ask them how they did their prep, they always had some sort of study buddy or the other, especially because there are many merits to having a study buddy. One is, splitting the GK notes. Second is for like the anxiety, the mental stress, the feeling of have companionship after all, right? Um, yeah, and as Sanjana said, like the only one who knows how tough or like how tough the mock is, how how bad mock scores are, how bad mock scores affect you, all that kind of stuff. Only your study buddy partners would know. I mean, obviously, to a certain extent, your parents, maybe your teachers, but in the end, like the person who's going through the same shit with you, like, will be your study partners, right? So the NLTI basically capitalizes on that. NLTI's basic foundation is in creating these study buddy groups. And after all, NLTI's whole model is based around NLS students. So NLTI doesn't hire um, um, any mentors from any other NLUs. Like the only mentors in NLTI are NLS students. So, I mean, after all, your personalized mentors would be NLS students, like people who have gone through the same journey with you, and you won't even believe it. Like example, like what she was talking about, how she used to take 3 4 hours every single day to do badminton. Even now, also she does, but um, those are normally things, at least when I was doing CLAT, I didn't expect a topper to be taking 3 4 days of his CLAT prep day to like um, play badminton, let's say, or like taking 2 3 days off. Like that was something I never expected a topper to do. But if I mean that, which is why like I wish NLTI was a thing when I was studying. So I do think you guys are pretty lucky to have NLTI. NLTI is essentially an initiative by endless students where only endless students are in this organization, and they um, mentor you. They give you personalized mentorships, and we also create study buddy groups for you, and like introduce you to your study buddy partners and help facilitate study buddy groups. So once you when you enroll into NLTI, you'll be given MITs, you'll be given GK sectional tests, you'll be given mocks, you'll have especially like personalized sessions with me or Rishabh Shivani or like other NLS students, like students who are in NLS right now. They can, because after all, like um, we are people who have actually like cracked it, right? So yeah, you get to hear and you get to like interact with us, and we be and especially because we were also students, we are not teachers, we are also students. We were like students 1 year back, so we almost exactly know how our preparations were, how your preparation is going. We can almost relate with you on a very personal level, right? So you will be having personalized sessions with us for almost every week, and especially last 100 days, you'll be in a study buddy group. In the study buddy groups under me, like they've already started splitting the work, and they've already started like quizzing each other, and yeah, the progress is amazing. It's almost exactly like Sanjana said. Almost everyone I know in NLS has some sort of study buddy or the other. I think in Sanjana's case, there were like 3 4 study buddies. In my case, it was me and another study buddy. So yeah, which is why NLTI focuses so much on creating these study buddy groups, having a personalized mentor for you and your study buddies. Because after all, because I can relate with your problems, I can relate with your issues, and there's a I almost every single time I faced all these problems, and which is why I'm giving you or like telling you techniques that help me. Um, yeah, and MLTI also has very again personalized mentorship as well as personalized sessions, as well as these mentors, these endless students who are taking care of you. They're also looking into your progress every single day and um, answering your doubts from time to time, and they're basically watching over you. So um, and that's also another benefit of study buddy groups, because if you ever feel like you're slacking off, you look to the right, your study buddy partner is studying like crazy. You look to the left, your study buddy partner is studying, and then you know you look to like the groups or whatever. Your mentor, some endless student, is also checking on your prep, right? So that also incentivizes you to like study a lot. On top of that, your GK notes is pretty much sorted because you're splitting up 6 months, like maybe a year's worth of GK by like 4 people, right? So you don't have to do the whole GK. On top of that, you can quiz each other. As Sanjana said, like it really helped with her in retention, right? So, yeah, and finally, in the end, if you as a study buddy are facing problems, or let's say you personally are facing problems, instead of asking it to a teacher who might not be able to relate it with you, it makes much more sense to ask someone who's a student before and who has also cracked NLS before, right? So, like, that's basically us. So, yeah, I that's it for today's session. I hope you enjoyed today's session, the 3 month strategy session with Sanjana Rao. Yeah, and I'll see you again some other time.